Heyo everyone, this is Jay coming at you with some huge news from today. Bungie and Activision cutting ties, just absolutely shaking the community. I really wanted to take an opportunity to go over some of the contract details and figure out some of the things that may be changing in the near future or down the line for Bungie, for us, for the players. We've been talking about this on stream for the past couple of days, even with all of the Forge conundrum stuff that's been going on. So with what I looked at in the contract, I kind of want to go over like what we know now, what we have in the contract, things that we may not know moving forward, and then also kind of give my thoughts as we go along and at the end. So the contract was started about 9 years ago in 2010. It was supposed to be a 10-year contract, so it was actually supposed to end in 2020 with the release of Bungie's final DLC for Destiny, which we haven't seen yet. But before that contract, Bungie was previously with Microsoft Studios, which ended in 2007. Even at the start of the contract with Activision, Bungie was still on the hook for releasing ODST and Reach content. So they ended up doing that. But moving into between 2010 and 2013, Bungie had been working on Destiny 1, and Activision was giving them some startup funds basically to get them going at $2.5 million a year up until release. Now, some of the details from the contract are really, really interesting, and I kind of want to go over them and give you my thoughts on each one. Activision was deciding the release timing of the content. Now, this started in 2013. It was supposed to be 2013 when the initial Destiny 1 was released, and every year after that was supposed to have a major release. I don't know if there were supposed to be 4 Destinies originally, starting with Destiny 1 in 2013, and then every 2 years after that, a new one. But we know, as we know now, Destiny 1 wasn't released till the end of 2014, so I don't know how that impacted the contract. There wasn't any updates in it or anything like that. But the last DLC was supposed to be released in 2020, and actually, I mean, from the contract, it looks like Destiny 3 was supposed to be released at the end of 2019, which we know hasn't been formally announced as a release date yet. And it'll be interesting now with this contract ending, exactly what that means for Destiny 3. I'll get back to that in a second. Some of the other points that I found really interesting. Curious how the release schedule actually impacted Destiny 2 early on. You know, there were bonuses and ramifications if they did or didn't release on schedule each release. So like thinking about Destiny 2, how much did this contract impact what they were able to deliver? They had to deliver on a certain date. If they didn't, they got hit with penalties and fees, and they got bonuses if they did hit the release schedule. So we think about kind of lackluster response from the community early on in Destiny 2. It's really interesting to think back to the contract. You know, Bungie kind of had their mouths sewn shut. They weren't really able to talk much about it. And we know that they spent the time after Destiny 2's release to probably get back to where their original vision for the game was. So that's one of those situations where the contract probably made a huge impact on what Bungie was about, what Bungie was allowed to do. And it's really eye-opening for me looking through the contract to see those kind of details. Other things, Activision had senior producers reviewing content, reviewing release schedules, things like that. Activision even knew all of the Easter eggs that were released, past and present and future for Destiny. It was in the contract. So all of you guys wanting to know what Wish 15 is in the last Wish raid, we should probably reach out to Activision if we want any tips there. Moving forward, we do know that in June of 2018, Bungie came into contract with a company called NetEase for $100 million. This is supposed to be for separate IPs. This is not actually related to Destiny, and it'll be really interesting to see announcements moving forward exactly what that entails. But that was completely separate from this contract and really had no impact on it at all. So with the things that we know, it really seems to me like the main point of input and impact that the contract had was the release schedule and what they were able to release in that time. So with development and schedules, you have to figure out what the priority is, what you can release on time, what needs to be pushed back. what you can get in a hot patch a month out. Those kind of things all come into decisions for Bungie and what they had to do. So going in, from Destiny 1 to Destiny 2, the huge delay between some DLCs before Taken King and Taken King, I'm curious if there was really any penalties for them there, because we all know how much we love Taken King, and they definitely took their time with that. But going into Destiny 2, how much of that stuff was impacted by this contract? And they can't really talk about it, so we won't ever know, but it's really curious to read that stuff. Things that we don't know yet with this contract decision is, how long will the split take? From Bungie to Activision, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of money floating through this contract. Is it going to take a month? Is it going to take 3 months, 90 days? My guess is sooner than later, but I guess we won't know, and we'll probably be hearing news daily or weekly moving forward about that. Whose decision was it to make the split initially? Looking back in November, when Activision had that call with Bungie and they expressed their displeasure with the sales of Forsaken, I'm really curious if Activision was one of the ones that instigated this split, because really there's only maybe 2 years left in this contract of the cycle of Destiny with Activision, and it seems, when you're on the 10-yard line to cut it like this, something really must have happened. And I'm probably betting that Activision just figured, you know what, we're just going to cut ties, we're going to move on, we're going to work on different projects. And that, I think, is a great decision and a great move for Bungie, actually. But thinking about Bungie, I can't imagine at this point in the game that they would have made the decision to, take a hit financially, because they've already been working on this project for 9 years, going back to 2010. And I think they probably would have had the integrity to see it through. But, I could be wrong. Could have been instigated by Bungie as well. I guess maybe we'll find out more as time goes on. But some of the other questions I have, are they going to be able to support the entire staff moving forward without the support of Activision? Because Activision was, paying out royalties for the content and giving them advances for DLCs and for content releases and things like that. I imagine they do. I imagine they'll be fine, but thoughts and everything go out to everybody that works at Bungie, and hopefully everybody's able to keep their job and all that kind of stuff. What impact is this going to have on the short term of Destiny's release, over the next year? Deej and a couple of other developers have already expressed on Twitter that nothing is going to change for the next year. And if anything, it's going to free up their ability to add little bonuses for us as the players. And so that's pretty exciting. Will they release Destiny 3? Based on the contract, it said that Destiny 3 was supposed to be released in 2019. That's yet to be seen. Will they end up, scrapping Destiny 3 as a completely new game and just treat it like a DLC? I feel like they might be a little bit far into the development schedule for that to happen, but who knows? It might still happen. Will they continue the Destiny universe past 2020? Now, this is an interesting one, because in the contract, it states that Activision and Bungie only have this relationship through the last DLC of 2020. Bungie technically is free, even when they were in contract, to proceed past 2020 with more Destiny content. I didn't know this before reading in the contract. It did say there was a clause that said that Activision would have first shot at the contract for follow-up content for Destiny. But now that Bungie's free, they could pretty much do whatever they want. So that's curious to me. Will they continue? Bungie has expressed the desire to be a self-sustaining studio, so maybe they could support multiple IPs. With Destiny and the other IP that they're working on with NetEase right now, could Bungie be a Blizzard? Could Bungie be another one of those big name studios that really starts to push out additional content, additional games? That is an exciting idea for me personally. I've been a huge Bungie fan since Halo. I didn't even really think of it back then. Right? We were playing Halo and loving it. But Halo, Destiny, two of some of my favorite games that I've ever played. The thought of them continuing to push Destiny or any other IP is super, super exciting to me. And I'm really interested to see what they end up doing with that. How much does the split impact the release of DLCs, patches, and holiday events? Because they were on contract to release content on a schedule, and they had quarterly meetups and quarterly check-ins and all that kind of stuff. So now, over the next 2 years, how is this going to impact? We might see less consistent content but more meaningful content. That's what I think. But the community has expressed their desire for consistent content, and Bungie has been listening. And over the last year, they've definitely shown us that they're listening by putting out that consistent content. So maybe nothing will change there. Maybe they'll just add more things and be able to have more flexibility with their release schedule. My overall thoughts to this announcement, I think it's extremely exciting. It's very jarring. It's very surprising to me at this stage in their contract that they're ending it. I'm looking forward to seeing how the content and communication is impacted by this, how much of their contract with Activision and any like non-disclosure agreements and things like that kept them from communicating with the community about release schedules, about content, about things that they have been wanting to put into the game. How much of that was impacted by the contract? In the end, I think that this is a great thing for Destiny and the Destiny community as a whole. One thing I will say, though, is that we should definitely temper our expectations moving forward. This is going to take time to process. This is going to take time to make changes. We may not see things in the short term. We may not see anything different through 2019. So be very mindful of how we think of this and don't get overexcited. The game's not quote unquote saved. Activision wasn't the source of everything bad that was happening in Destiny if you thought that things were bad. Bungie has made mistakes. They're learning from it. They're moving forward. They're human. They love the game they're working on. And I hope that this freedom really gives them the ability to show us that love and passion without the restriction of the schedule and the overhanging dadness of Activision. And all I can say is thanks to Activision and Bungie for being mindful of the community and listening and having passion to produce a game that I and so many love. Thank you. Let me know what you guys think about the split in the comments below. Anything that you guys have questions about that I can help answer after looking at the contract, or any insight that you might have that I didn't cover here would be awesome. And of course, if you feel called to do so, feel free to subscribe. I would very much appreciate it. Also, if you want to come hang out with us on Twitch, we stream 6 nights a week. And we just like having fun and hanging out and getting to know each other and play this game we call Destiny. Hope you guys have a great one. See you next time. Until then, Jay Snipes out.